During the pandemic, the common denominator amongst the citizens of this entire world is that we are all facing economic or emotional challenges. Either one of these, or even both. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sana, and I'm the founder of SWA, a nonprofit project that aims to increase homeless women's accessibility to menstrual products. That being said, today is the perfect place and time to highlight the issue of period poverty. You see, initially, I couldn't even believe that there could be an issue like period poverty. My role as an ambassador for the PAD project and the art associate for Operation Period made me realize how women are being maimed from living full lives because of period poverty. Now, this made me wonder, is there a period poverty in Indonesia? Now, we all know that any topic related to menstruation is discussed in hush-hush, and that gives the perfect place for the problem to ferment and spread its tentacles. Now, I want to ask you, have you ever seen people pushing carts just to collect garbage? I'm sure you have. It's a pretty common sight. We have all seen them. But have you really looked at them? If we look at these carts closely, we can see very depressing sights, like children playing in utter filth while their parents collect garbage, and women huddling inside tiny carts just to avoid sexual harassment at night. The sheer helplessness on the faces of these people will strike you for sure. A poet once mentioned, if one individual is to go hungry, then the whole world should be destroyed. But in a world where everyone is in the maddening race to build wealth, it's really heartbreaking to know that there are people out there who can barely afford 2 meals a day. 2. And these people are not in some remote corner of the world. They're right here, in the traffic signals on our daily routes, wearing doll costumes and dancing, or even begging for food in the 40 seconds available. These people are called manusia gerobak, or cart people, whom I interviewed for a study I did titled A Glimpse into the Lives of Women Trash Collectors in Bandung, with special focus on period poverty. Now, to solve any issue, the first step is to understand it. Like, what's really going on? I was supported by Yayasan Tunas Nusa, an organization that educates young mothers on stunting. They've supported me in the data collecting stage. The objectives of my study include to understand the lifestyle of the gerobak women, what period products they use, how much money is spent on these period products, and the challenges these women face during menstruation in regards to privacy and safety. Now, to achieve my objectives, 30 women trash collectors who are homeless in Bandung had been interviewed, and the data had been collected and analyzed for further understanding. I found that only a few of these women are from Bandung, and the majority of them are from other cities. I found that only about half of these women are married, and the other portion of them are divorced. And you know what I found really interesting? These women shared stories about how they have a husband because they think that there'll be protection on the street. And the women who mentioned these kind of stories have gotten married at such a young age. Just imagine getting married as a teenager, totally clueless about bodily functions, and in the next 5 years, roaming the city with 3 kids in the cart, and now scavenging for trash, even more desperate than ever. I've also found that most of these women, only have education until primary schooling. And only half of the respondents' children even have access to education. During the conversations with these people, I came to know that they earn 14 cents per kilogram of recyclable items collected. 14 cents. And because of the pandemic, the amount of trash on the roads have decreased due to less people being outside. Now, I'm sure that we all think that less trash means a better environment. Sure, I agree. But have you ever thought how that would affect the life of a trash collector? It affects how much you're able to collect in a day. It was mentioned that before the pandemic, they used to earn $3 a day. And after the pandemic, this reduced to $1 to $2 a day. If you see that man in the bottom middle, if he exchanges his full cart full of trash, he'll get $2. Okay, yeah, let's say that he earns $2 a day. Then this translates to $60 a month, and the annual earnings being $720. And I believe for most of you listening, this $720 you can easily earn in a month's time. Another issue I found is that the competition for these items have increased. This is because more people have entered the rongsok business, which is to exchange recyclable items for money. And this is also because of the pandemic. This is because many people from the low-level jobs have lost their means of income, making them turn to one of their few options, which is trash collection. For example, during a conversation with one homeless woman, she said that before the pandemic, she used to work in a factory. But after the pandemic, she lost her job, she even lost her home, so she turned to her only option, which is trash collection. But now, coming to the most important issue of all that I found in my study, period poverty. Yes, period poverty. After conducting all the interviews, I found that these women are clueless about the consequences of maintaining improper menstrual hygiene. As you can see, these women, they use about 1 to 5 pads a month. And most likely, they'll be changing their pads every 6 to 8 hours. Every 24 hours or even less often than that. But you should know that if pads aren't changed every 6 to 8 hours at least, then the individual may suffer from vaginal yeast infections. So you see, these women are risking their own well-being because they're unable to afford period products. It was really shocking for me coming across the issue of period poverty amongst the women in my own neighborhood. I began to ponder to find solutions to at least uplift the next generation from falling into the clutches of period poverty. So, I started SWA Sehat. I packed basic menstrual hygiene packets, which include pads, detergent, soap, and other food items like the one she's holding, and distribute it to the Grobak women whenever I see them. Though SWA Sehat was started as a micro-initiative, I'm very proud to say that I've donated more than 200 packets to more than 100 different women. I perceive myself to be a socially conscious artpreneur. So my creations are available for sale at Forged by Sana, and Odd Pots. And all the profits go towards donating to SWA Sehat. My endeavors are like a drop in the ocean. To create change at a macro scale, further measures have to be taken. But wait, the first step I would suggest is to provide these women with a KTP, which is the basic identity that they are citizens of this wonderful country. Without a KTP, they're unable to get access to healthcare facilities and educational facilities provided by the government, which is essential to uplift themselves out of poverty. Another form of help is to provide safe and clean shelters for these women to sleep in at night. This will have a huge positive impact on their vulnerable lives. An added facility is a daycare center with education for their children. This will protect the homeless children from the harsh street life, which may develop into mental health issues as they grow up. But now, coming to the most sustainable solution of all, social entrepreneurship. To quote the management guru, Peter Drucker, the best way to predict the future is to create it. If we want a society where everyone has the equal opportunity to dream and grow, then these women can be trained to start their own businesses. For example, during a conversation with a woman on the right, she told me, I'm so sick of this kind of life. I'm sick of being homeless. I'm sick of doing my whole life, basically. I wish I could just have a cart to sell coffee. But she doesn't know how to sell, whom to approach, where to sell. And the woman on the left, she sits under a tree selling toys which nobody wants. But she doesn't know why this is happening. But she sits under the tree, patiently waiting for passerbys to notice and buy her products. There are many organizations that provide microcredit, such as the Grameen Bank, which has changed millions of lives. But I am envisioning an organization that can provide both entrepreneurial skills and financial help to the poor to start their own businesses. My long-term vision for SWA Sehat is to start a production facility for cloth pads by handpicking these women and training them to work on sewing machines. But of course, with conditions that enforce sustainability, commitment, and constant growth. Special shout out to Manju Bangalore, the founder of Operation Period, and Israel Quint, the Chief Financial Officer of Operation Period, for supporting my efforts in ending period poverty in Bandung from the very beginning. But to conclude, I believe for a person to be able to satisfy their basic needs and to live a comfortable life, they have to meet a lot of conditions. For example, when a child is growing up, they need to have a stable family structure, at least some education, learn a skill, and have the mental determination to pull themselves out of poverty. But for somebody who hasn't eaten for the past 15 hours and still has to find food for their children, the idea and understanding to come out of the cycle is impossible to figure out. Poverty causes people to lose their basic dignity. So, what can you do? You know what? These women actually mentioned ways in which we can help. But to be honest, in the short run, donations and awareness campaigns help. But in the long run, these women have to be trained to stand on their own legs and grow both the roots and the shoots to create a safe place for both them and their children to thrive. Thank you.